Hi and welcome to this Razer Masterclass presented by FITGMR. My name is Mike Anderson and I am a co-founder as well as the head of physical maintenance at FITGMR. Razer's Champions Start From Within aims to promote sustainable gaming habits in the highly demanding and intensely competitive esports industry. FITGMR is a health and wellness platform that is dedicated to helping esport athletes achieve their best. So for this masterclass, it was only natural that FITGMR team up with Champions Start From Within. We caught up with the players at Team EVOS in the Southeast Asian headquarters at Razer and talked to some of the members of their team about what they do to be fit and well. The first question that I want to get to is, what do you currently do for physical activity?
I think I haven't been playing a lot of sports because all my friends are quite busy with work and stuff. Yeah, so I stopped playing basketball, but in Singapore we do have the mandatory yearly fitness test. So to be able to keep up, I think I've been running a bit and also do a bit of static exercises like sit-ups and push-ups. Yeah. I actually failed my running. I had my test just last week actually. Yeah, I did really well for my static exercises, especially the sit-ups, but yeah, I just couldn't run anymore.
When you take your annual physical next year, what will you do to prepare?
I'll try to make it a habit to run, even when the test is not nearing, so that I'll be able to keep up, all year long. And yeah, definitely a mistake that I made was trying to train for my running just 1 month before my test. So yeah, that's basically why I failed.
I was quite new to the gym and I didn't know what to do, so I just do whatever I see people are doing. So I probably didn't do it well and it hurt my lower back. It's a permanent injury. Yep. So from then on, I stopped gymming and stuff.
Do you think there's any benefit to incorporating physical maintenance for esports competitors?
I think in general esports, yes, but I think the situation that we have in Singapore especially is that because there is, most of us here, even though we are representing Singapore even for international competitions, but unfortunately we do not have the same privileges in the form of time. Most of us are only part-time gamers so far. We have things like serving national service. We have to squeeze in work together with play. So definitely one of the struggles that we have, and I think that a lot of programs fail in Singapore, is mainly due to these issues, because we ourselves, even though we want to be full-time gamers, but unfortunately it's not sustainable enough right now in Singapore to do so. So even with all these add-on of programs that people are considering, usually it is very hard to implement due to our schedules.
How do you cope with sitting for long periods of time?
I feel like sitting down very long is very bad for probably my lower back, because I always feel that it's sore. Because I actually sit down and play for a solid 8 hours or so continuously without really taking a break. Yeah, so I think the most part that I feel that's sore is actually just my lower back. Might be because my chair doesn't have a proper support, but yeah.
That's why sometimes I have to adjust my position, or I have to walk around my house, go and take a smoke break, something like that.
Got it. All right, I want to introduce to all of you guys some of the drills that we encourage all of the esport athletes that we work with to do at some point during the day. For example, imagine you've just been sitting down for a 30-40 minute scrim. You've got a 5 or 10 minute break to go to the bathroom, grab something to eat, and then you're going to sit down for another 30 to 45 minutes and do that all throughout the day, right? Not a lot of standing up. So what we'll encourage you to do is something called a quick drill. And these are 8 to 10 different activities that you can choose from that you can do right next to your computer. You don't have to have any equipment. You don't have to warm up. In fact, these are really warm-up type activities that are intended just to get your heart rate up a little bit, to get the blood flowing in your muscles, to stretch out, to refocus and refresh and re-energize your brain so that you can get back to the task at hand once you've completed the drills. Are you guys willing to do a couple of these with me?
Sure.
Let me get at least 2 of you to come out in front, get out of your seats, and there we go. All right, so You can either hold on to something or you can hold on to each other's shoulders. And what we're going to do here is called, they're leg swings. They're simply just taking the legs back and forth, up and down. And the idea is that you keep your stomach engaged. Exactly. Just continue to go like that. Swing the leg forward and back. Let it pendulum from your hip. And all you're doing is bringing the leg up, where the momentum brings the leg up to wherever it goes, right? If you're right here, that's fine. For those of you that are more flexible in the hip and the glute and the back, you can bring it up a little bit higher, but just like 10 or 15 swings on one side, and then go ahead and get in a set of 10 or 15 swings on the other side. When we are sitting all day, it tightens up the hip flexors, the muscles get used to these positions that we're in. And when you stand up, you can tell that you haven't had the blood flow and circulation throughout your legs. This is also getting blood into the heart, into the brain, and just circulating it all around the body. Let's do a set. Right, good. You can rest for a second. You notice that your heart rate goes up, right? Not a lot, but just enough to get the blood pumping and circulating. The next set of swings that we're going to do are from the arms. Now, it goes without saying, if you have any injury or you can't move your arm or something's going on in your neck or your shoulder, you got to be careful with this. But none of these movements are things that you're going to have to get checked off by a doctor in order to do. So just use your common sense, go at your own limits, and you can plainly see that none of the exactly just swing them back and forth, right over left, left over right. Notice how I'm standing up nice and tall. I'm not slunched over, right? Standing up tall so you can breathe, get some air circulating. And just right over left, left over right, 10 or 20 times. And now we'll bend the knees just a little bit and we'll swing the arms forward and back. Great, just imagine you're gonna jump, but you're not even gonna jump. You're just bending your knees a little bit, swinging the arms forward and back. These are just regular ranges of motion that the body should be able to go through. Now, of course, if you do have some sort of injury, like I was saying before, just limit the range, right? If you can't go up that high, then go this high. All right, now that we've done those two, let's do one that's a little bit more dynamic. You're just gonna stand in place and just bounce, right? Your feet can come off the ground a little bit. If you've got problems with your knees and your hips, then stay on the ground. You don't have to jump all the way up, but if you're good jumping rope or bouncing around, you'll notice that my hands, my elbows, and my shoulders, even my jaw is nice and relaxed. We're just gonna bounce in place. You can shuffle to one side, you can shuffle to the other. And now you'll notice that your heart rate's up even higher with this one. Think about breathing in, exhale, and then rest for a sec. You can feel just in your fingertips the surge of energy that gave you. All right, I'm gonna grab my chair and set it right here at about an angle, and then I want you guys to back up so your heels are close to that bench that's behind you that you were sitting on. I'd like you to stand with your feet about shoulders width apart, push back with your hips, sit down on that bench, and then stand back up. And do that a couple more times. So essentially, this is the basics of a squat. Notice that there weren't too many teaching points to get you to sit down and to stand up. I do like to send the hands up on the way down. And imagine you're holding onto a railing or a chair and pulling up. And then just go through a couple more of those. I'm gonna get a total of 10 of them in. If you don't need a chair or that bench or anything, you can just squat just like a regular air squat, unweighted. For those of you that can't squat that deeply, you can just use your chair, the chair that you sit at all day long when you're scrimming. And now feel that, like I said, I'm actually sweating just a little bit. My heart rate's up just to, maybe to 90 or 100 beats per minute. But that 3-minute, 4-minute activity that we just did, you don't even have to do that much. If you were to do 1 minute, 6 or 7 times during the day in between your scrims, or when you feel that your legs are getting a little bit tired, you guys can go ahead and take a seat.
All right.
Nice workout.
I feel good.
It doesn't take all that much if you're not doing any exercise at all. And even for those of you who do get in exercise throughout the day, these drills, whether you're an esport athlete or you work at a desk all day, like for those of you at Razer who are executives that are sitting down at computers all day long just typing, get in some quick drills. The benefits are amazing. Now guys, will you do this? Is this something you would do, perhaps I should say? Right? It's almost too easy not to do. So again, remember, next time you have a scrim break, you stand up from the computer, just hold onto the chair and start doing some of those drills. Doesn't matter what order they're in, just do whatever comes to your mind, a couple of minutes of movement. Raise your hand if you will commit to doing that at some point every day for the next 7 days. I want to see you raise your hand up high.
I'm gonna try that for a week.
I'm going to try that for a week.
Yeah, we're gonna try that.
You can catch it on my streams at
Twitch.tv.
nice.
Yeah, so Adam is a streamer, and yeah, I think we want evidence of him actually trying it. Yeah, I'll make sure I get it for you.
Okay, cool. So you guys are committed. I'll check back in with you at the end of the week and make sure that that's done. All right. Now that doesn't, what we did, those quick drills are not complete substitutions for exercise. Those are for everyone to do at some point during the day. If you've been sitting for a long period of time in order to kind of rest, refresh, get a different perspective on things. If you don't do any exercise at all, that is going to be a lot more than nothing. So it's a great place to start. Include those quick drills throughout your day. Thanks very much for all you athletes on Team EVOS for taking the time to talk to me a little bit about your physical activity program. Next, I want to turn it over to Matt Powell, who is the nutrition pillar expert, as well as the Vice President of Operations for FITGMR. He's going to go over some of the questions just like I did, but more specific to nutrition and diet. Take it away, Matt.
Hey everyone, it's nice to finally meet you all. My name is Matt. I'm head of nutrition for FITGMR. And let's start off with just an easy question on nutrition. And that question is, how do you go about your day in terms of caffeine and added sugar? Do you know how much added sugar and caffeine you consume each day? And let's start with caffeine.
Personally, to me, I think the two most important thing before any match or anything is I must have caffeine and food. Without any of these, right, I think in matches I will definitely underperform because when I'm hungry or anything, I just cannot think of anything else.
No, that's absolutely correct. Caffeine is a stimulant. So when you reach for that coffee in the morning, like everyone does, that it's definitely going to enhance some of your focus or what you do throughout that day. There are positives to caffeine, and then there's negatives to caffeine. We know that caffeine's a stimulant, so it's going to fight fatigue. But too much caffeine is going to create an overstimulation. And that type of overstimulation is going to reduce your working memory.
Normally, I'll just drink Starbucks, just one cup, and I think it's enough already for the whole day.
Yeah, so for me, I think I feel like it don't really affect me. I feel it's more of placebo. Yeah, but I still drink coffee because I think I just like the bitter taste of it. When I have two, maybe if I have two venti size Starbucks in a day, I get a bit nauseous. Yeah, so I think I think that's too much for the day.
So that's kind of how we want to think about caffeine, and not only how much we consume, we want to think about the timing of that. Is it an hour prior to scrim or an hour prior to a game? We want to think about the timing and how we're going to utilize this caffeine in our system. So let's talk about how much added sugar you think you consume each day. And I want to be clear, we're not talking about sugars that are naturally found in foods like fruit. So we're talking about added sugar, a lot of processed foods. Most of the drinks that you're probably going to consume, if it's not water, it probably has added sugar. So I guess the first part is to figure out how to find out, reading the label, how much added sugar is in these foods. And then the second part is obviously counting how many added sugars you have each day. Does anybody actually count or know perhaps how much added sugar you consume each day?
I'm quite sure most of us don't really know how to put that number. Yeah, like we can't relate to how much actually is that number, yeah, per serving. So I think we don't actually know exactly how much sugar will affect us. Yeah, but for me personally, I just avoid sugar and like sweet drinks as much as possible because more health conscious on that aspect. Yeah, for drinks.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be difficult to know how much added sugar you consume each day if you're not tracking it. So I understand that. And definitely have an understanding as to how you feel if you have too much added sugar in your diet. It's going to affect your performance in terms of right before a scrim or a match. But speaking of added sugar, let's talk about snacks. What type of snacks do you consume each day?
Most of us don't really snack. Like we kind of just have our daily 3 meals, but we don't really snack on any kinds of food.
Well, that's great. You definitely don't need to have snacks throughout your day. It's good to hear that a lot of you don't snack. If you're eating a healthy diet, and that diet is rich in all of your macronutrients, and it has a lot of vegetables, fruits, and proteins and healthy fats, what you're going to find is that you're not hungry and you don't need to snack. So you won't be reaching for anything that has, added sugar or any of those easy, quick-to-go processed food. So yeah, that's great. So let me ask this: how much fruit and vegetables do you get into your meal, each of your meals, your breakfast, your lunch, and your dinner? How many fruits and vegetables do you get in on a daily basis?
I think vegetables, vegetables, yes. Fruits sometimes, in fact, most places we can't really find them. Yeah, so since it's not that accessible, then I think most of us just skip fruits for the most part.
Yeah, I completely understand. It's definitely a difficult thing to get in real fresh food throughout the day, and incorporating that as a habit daily, and rather than reaching for those quick, processed foods. But we have a game today that I'd like to play with you all, and that game is about. We'll start with the drinks, and then we'll go over to the foods. And speaking of quick and easy, accessible, on-the-go type foods, this is the game all about on-the-go type foods, and what's a better decision to make, when you go to those stores and you go to the shelves. How do you know what to pick? What's going to be the healthiest versus the least healthy? And I like to always use a good guideline would be to really read the food labels and to start, with added sugar. How much added sugar is in the object that I'm about to grab? That's really key here. So let's play a game, and let's see how you all do. So we have a few drinks that are sitting in front of you. You can typically find these in stores, convenience stores, gas stations, wherever you are. And I want you to list these drinks from order of the highest amount of added sugar to the lowest amount of added sugar that are in these drinks, or what you think, without reading the food labels. And go ahead and talk amongst yourselves and take your time.
The
I think
beverages
I think both the
easier.
beverages suck.
Oh no, the coconut water is healthy. I remember.
Yeah,
Coconut to green tea to Red Bull,
yeah.
I think.
Red Bull should be a
Red Bull Center, right?
Red Bull should be the worst.
unhealthy.
No, Red
Even
Bull
if
should be
it's
the
less
worst.
sugar, I think it's still a lot.
Oh wait, we are doing the drinks first.
Just do the
I
drinks
think so.
first.
But that one is less sugar leh.
But I don't think it's.
But she said don't look at labels.
Yeah.
I mean,
I thought Red Bull is in the center. Lah.
okay.
It's a distraction. It's marketing.
Yeah. So are we ranking the drinks like
Wait,
this?
how about
How about the food?
how about the food?
One by one?
What was the?
Only can eat the nuts, eh?
No, I thought one by one. I thought beverages first.
All right, so what is your final answer? So we have the 3 drinks. We have the jasmine tea, we have the coconut water, and we have the Red Bull. Which of these 3 do you think has the highest amount of added sugar?
Yeah, we have
Probably the coconut water.
coconut, and then the sweet green tea in the center, and then Red Bull as the most unhealthy.
Actually, it would be the jasmine tea has the fewest or the lowest amount of added sugar.
Secretly, I've been healthy my whole life.
And then it would be the coconut water. Believe it or not, the coconut water has a lot of added sugar in it. So yeah, that's your 1, 2, 3 on the drinks. Now let's move over to the foods, and let's do the exact same thing. Let's list those foods from the highest amount of added sugar to the lowest amount of added sugar.
I think the yogurt is the worst.
But there, right? Say only.
No, the coconut.
This one last, right?
I think
Last.
It's the fruit. It's either the fruit
I
sticks
think
or the
fruit sticks,
yogurt. It's either fruit stick or yogurt.
it's vitamin protein.
Oh, but
bar.
it's
As in,
The bar sucks.
these 2 is one end, and these 2 is one end, right?
I'm pretty sure the bar is the second worst, eh?
Really?
Nuts.
Oh, chocolate hazelnut.
Yeah, the nuts is
Yeah.
probably second worst, eh?
might be a worse.
The protein
Like
bar.
this?
Oh, you know.
Like this.
Maybe.
It's not chocolate.
I eat this quite a lot.
Is there a comparison with this?
Muesli bar.
All right, so have we figured it out? Let's flip it around. Let's start with the lowest amount of added sugar. Which item has the lowest amount of added sugar, do you think?
The nuts.
The nuts. Yeah.
Almond.
Blueberry,
Blueberry coconut.
oats, almonds, blueberry.
Is that the Amazing Grace?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The blueberry oat? That is correct. Very nice. That actually doesn't have any added sugar, which that's awesome. That's exactly what we want to be looking for. Things that don't have added sugar, foods that don't have added sugar. All right, what would be next on our list?
Uncle Toby.
Uncle Toby's.
The muesli bar, I think.
I don't know about that, man.
Yogurt bar.
Yeah, the
I don't know
yogurt
about
bar.
that, man.
Yeah.
What, do you want to change this?
It's
or-
confirmed not the protein bar, I think.
That's a tough choice.
It's either
Between these
I think it's
three.
either the fruit stick or the yogurt. Eh?
Actually, it's going to be the protein bar.
Oh no, GG.
Oh, wow.
The protein bar has the lowest amount of added sugar because the first didn't have any added sugar at all. So yeah, the protein bar would be number 2. And what do you think would be number 3?
Seems like wrong.
Yogurt bar?
Yogurt
Fruit is
bar.
a fruit.
Go for the yogurt bar.
Actually, it's going to be the fruit snacks as the third of the lowest or the highest, whichever way you want to go on that. They have the highest amount of sugar. And then finally, the fourth highest amount of sugar, added sugar, is, the yogurt bars. They have the highest amount of added sugar of those 4 food items.
Yeah, I eat quite a bit of this yogurt bar, thinking that it's healthy.
So that was awesome. Clearly, you understood the game quite well. Nice work. And you know what? Thanks for having us here, and thanks for playing along. And I'm going to hand it over now to Peter.
Hi, my name is Peter. I'm in charge of yoga and meditation at FITGMR. And yoga is becoming mindful of your body as you move. So we teach postures that anybody can do and give adjustments so that no matter what's going on with you, you can do them. And through doing it, you strengthen your body in certain ways, not so much like when you're doing a workout with weights or something like that, but you strengthen in terms of a kind of a ability to flow in your body and work with it in a way that's really graceful. And this can be super useful if you're doing something like sitting in a competitive situation and you need to keep your body in a place where it's not bothering you. So yoga helps to do that. And it also teaches us when we're getting into a situation that isn't so great. You become more aware, like you raise your arm or you shift your seat and you go, oh, wait a minute, I should not go there. So rather than injuring yourself, you become aware that I'm moving into dangerous territory and you're able to come back from that or make an adjustment. So that's one thing that we do in our FITGMR app is train yoga. We also have meditation, and meditation can be something that's really helpful for pre-game, the day before, getting enough sleep, things like that, where you're trying to get your mind to be in a state that's more focused, also more calm, which can be as simple as having a little more perspective on things, being able to step back if you need to, and come in closer if you need to. So you're more in the moment, present. Sometimes we call this like being in the flow. And we're looking for ways to train our minds to be able to navigate those different states of mind. So if you were interested in like a sleep help meditation because there's too much nerves, I could offer a meditation, but maybe you would require trying a couple of different things in order to figure out which one works. And that's a really important thing to remember about meditation. It's not a one-size-fits-all type of thing, but you try something, you see what that does for you, and then you might find, well, this other thing is helping much, much more. So then you would do that meditation. So for sleeping, for instance, since that's something that's coming up, we've got the potential to just try to do something like listen to someone talking to you and like following a visualization. That's a particular kind of meditation. Maybe for somebody that would be good. There's watching one's breath. Maybe that would be good. There's doing some kind of a movement, not as big as yoga, but just simple movements like moving your hand, opening and closing while you're breathing, or maybe reciting a particular phrase. So all of these are different types of meditations. Has anybody here done meditation?
I got introduced to this meditation soundtrack or podcast. Yeah, I think it's about 15 to 20 minutes. So I was introduced to this by my friends, and all of them could, most of them told me they fall asleep even before the entire soundtrack ends. But I don't know why, but for me, even after that, I couldn't sleep. So I think my anxiety just is way more than the rest.
Well, I would advise all of you to give it a try some different kinds of meditation. And it's really just a practice. It's something you try to do because the trying itself is really valuable. You don't have to, quote unquote, succeed at meditation for it to be doing its work. So one of the things that's really hard, I know, if you're trying to start a meditation practice, is to find the time to do it, because you have so many different things to do already, right? So I recorded a meditation for our app that's 1 minute long. And I don't know anybody who can't find 1 minute during the day to do a meditation. So if you're game, we could do that meditation right now. All right?
Okay.
Excellent. All right. So just come into a nice seat and we'll just start. I'm going to play the recording from the app itself so you'll get a sense of what it's like on the app. But just get yourself situated so you're comfortable to start. And let's roll the tape. Sometimes getting a meditation practice and keeping a meditation practice is really hard. It's hard for a lot of reasons. One of them is sometimes you feel like I don't really have time. So today's meditation is super, super short. So short that it would be ridiculous to say I don't have time for this. So have a seat and we'll be done in just 1 minute. Begin by taking a full breath in and lifting your arms up overhead. Turn your palms toward the sky and just reach nice and tall. And then release your hands down. Take a twist to the right so that you're looking over toward the right side of the room. And then come back to center and take a twist to the left. And then come back to center. Close your eyes if that's comfortable for you. And we're going to watch our breath. When the breath comes in, feel like you're drawing in everything you're going to need for your day. And especially if you're busy, everything you're going to need to take care of everything that you've got going on. When you breathe out, imagine letting go of all your resistance or anxiety or concerns, so that each breath in is a drawing in of everything you'll need, and each breath out is a letting go of anything that's going to be a problem. You can continue to visualize the breath in that way for as long as it helps you out or as long as it feels comfy, and then just let it go. That's our meditation. I'm going to hand it off to Landon to talk about mental performance. Thanks a lot, guys.
Hello everybody, my name is Landon Gorbenko and I am the head of mental conditioning at FITGMR, and really my role at FITGMR is to make sure that every gamer and every esport athlete is mentally, psychologically, and cognitively prepared to play the game. And now there's a lot of things that go into this. There's emotion regulation, there's team dynamics, team communication, focus, concentration, pre-performance routines, performance anxiety, stress management. There's a whole bunch of different aspects that can impact your ability to train, play, compete, and overall just achieve your dreams. And so when we're looking at esport success and esport development, I come in and I make sure that you are mentally, psychologically, and cognitively ready to perform. Do you have a mental strategy or what we would call a pre-performance routine to help get you into the right state of mind before you go into an important scrim, competition, or event?
I would just kind of plug in my headphones and I will listen to my playlist for about 20 minutes, and I'll just kind of like zone out and forget about everything to like relax myself before the game.
Perfect. What you just described of listening to music to get yourself into the right state of mind and calm down is exactly what a pre-performance routine is. So even though you have already started doing a pre-performance routine, what I want to do is take a couple minutes to really discuss why. What is the purpose of a pre-performance routine? What do we use it for? And so when we think about the brain, one of the things that we can see that the brain likes is it likes patterns. It likes repetition. The reason it likes this is because it helps it prepare for what's about to come. And so when we think about a pre-performance routine, this is a series of thoughts, actions, or behaviors that we do leading into something important. And when we do this series of thoughts, actions, or behaviors before an event enough times, what the brain starts to realize is that when I go through this series, this comes next. And when this comes, I need to be in this state of mind. I need to be thinking these types of things, and I need to be prepared for this. And so what you're doing is you're conditioning your brain to know what's coming next and what it needs to be doing. Now, pre-performance routines can be a whole number of things. Some people, like you, love to do it with music. I also love to do music. I like to plug in some tunes, and I like really soft music that lets me think. Now, for me personally, one of the things that I do is when I'm loading into a game is I close my eyes and I start visualizing the first 30 to 60 seconds of a game. Now, in this first 30 to 60 seconds of the game, what I'm doing is I'm playing it out. I'm practicing the skills. I'm preparing myself for what I'm about to do. And through this process, my brain is getting warmed up. It's getting conditioned and it's getting ready for what's coming. Now, like I said, it can be any number of things. Some people do the music. Some people do a little bit of exercise and movement. Some people go off into a dark room and they think. Some people like to get in a team huddle. There is any number of things that you can do in a pre-performance routine. And that just helps you perform better, it helps to calm down nerves, and it helps you to focus into what you need to be doing next. Now, I know for me, one of the hardest things before going into a big stressful event is sleep the night before. I get stressed, I get anxious, and it becomes almost impossible to close your eyes and go to bed. And so my question to all of you is, do you have a sleep routine or some kind of sleep schedule that you try to follow going into a big event?
I think we usually try to get about at least 8 to 10 hours of sleep. Yeah. I don't know about the rest, but for me personally, I wouldn't touch up my phone for about 30 minutes before sleeping.
Yeah, I think it's pushing it. 8 to 10 hours seems quite, seems quite a lot. I think maybe at least 7, I would say. Yeah, but often because we are so stressed out, and the excitement, yeah, there's mixed feelings, excitement and also stress and fear before we sleep, because the next day is gonna be the big game day, and then we end up. I think for me, I end up sleeping maybe like 3 to 4 hours instead, because of just too much brain activity, stressing over the game.
There's a lot of brain activity happening right before you go to bed. And so one of the big recommendations is putting away your phone and killing screens about an hour before you go to bed. Now, there's a number of reasons why this could be possibly important, but one of the big things is that things that are happening on a screen are typically very engaging. They make you think. Think about the game that you play. When you're playing it, how much brain activity is happening? There's a lot. And when that brain activity is happening, your brain's not ready to go to bed. It's not thinking about sleep. It's not creating the sleep hormones to put you to bed because it's trying to focus on something that it finds important. So by playing the game or by being on your phone or just being on the computer in general, your brain is trying to force itself to stay awake because it's actively engaged in what you're doing. And that's why it's important to pull back from screens about an hour before you go to bed, because it allows your brain to calm down a little bit from some of the activity. It lets it relax, it lets it rest, it lets it realize that it's time for bed so it can create the right sleep hormones so that you start falling asleep when you want to. So I know you guys are just coming out of the Razer Invitational. I'm wondering, how did that go? Are you guys happy with the performance? Are you satisfied with how you placed? And I know that going into some of these large-scale events, there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of pressure, there's a lot of eyeballs on you. And so I'm wondering, how do you handle that stress and how do you handle the pressure of going into such a major tournament like the Razer Invitational?
I think Razer Invitationals for us, because we just came off fresh of Chinese New Year. So before that, we were actually having a break because we just had played in the World Championship in December. So January was like a break for us, and the Razer Invitationals was like the first tournament for us. So basically, it's like our reset back into getting into the whole pro gaming thing again. So unfortunately, I think for Razer Invitationals, we didn't do so well this time. We were underperforming. The whole team knew that we were kind of like underperforming, losing to teams that we didn't feel like we were at the level that we were at maybe 1-2 months ago.
So you actually said something very interesting there. You just came off of a major event, you had a quick break, and now that you had another major event, you didn't perform quite as you wanted to because you had a long break and you were feeling a little bit rusty. Now, one of the very interesting things for a lot of professional teams or elite level players is that they will come off of a break and they will try to really push the grind hard. So they'll start practicing really hard. They'll put a lot of hours in VOD reviews and competitions. And what happens is what we would call peaking too soon. So they put a lot of effort, they put a lot of work into the early parts of the season, and they start doing fairly well right off the bat because they're working hard. But then as the year rolls around, so as 22 gets later and later and we get to closer to the World Tournament, what happens is people start getting fatigued, they start getting tired. And why do they do this? Or why do they get tired and fatigued? It's because they put too much work at the beginning of their year. They prioritized the wrong part of their training and competition. They peaked too soon in the year, which means the rest of the year they're tired, they're fatigued, they're exhausted, and they're now underperforming. And so despite you not doing the way that you wanted to at the beginning or this first tournament of the year, that's completely okay because you got an entire 11 or 12 more months of the year. You have a lot of time to amp up your training. You have a lot of time to perfect your competition. And so this is actually the best way you can approach it. You don't want to peak too soon in the year because if you peak too soon, you fatigue yourself for later. But if you start off a little bit slower, you take a couple L's at the beginning of the year, and you amp up training, you get better and better and better and more intense as the year goes on, that time when you peak, when you hit your best point in the year, is going to be when it really matters. When you're competing to go to the world stage, or you're competing on the world stage. That's where we want to peak. So don't beat yourselves up too much for not playing well here, because you have an entire year of gaming to go. So I know that 2 of you have been to the SEA games before, and I'm curious, how did that make you feel? And also, when you were training and practicing in order to get onto that stage, what kind of support do you wish that you had along that journey?
When I was at SEA Games, I think it was once in a lifetime opportunity for me to play. For Singapore, for my country. So I think I felt I felt a sense of pride to be able to represent our country. So the feeling is it's quite different, because you're not just playing for your organization, you're playing for the country. So that's a different feeling. Some support that we might have wanted. I think the National Olympic Council here in Singapore, they did offer support in various aspects, like what we are doing here now, the sports science aspect. But we were just too. There were just too many tournaments. There was a professional league going on all year round, and we definitely didn't have. Even the other games, the other titles, they kindly rejected the support, because we just didn't have time. We had half of us either at school, and then right after school, evening towards midnight, it will be like full-on training hours. If not, then other teammates they have work, and it's the same schedule, and we definitely do not have time to fit all this in. But for this year, I hope that we can fit some of this in, be it meditation or even the quick exercises that we did earlier. I think I can see how it will benefit us. I mean, the professional athletes from like in your region, NA, the full-time players, I think they definitely benefited from all this support, and I hope that we will have time to have that for this year round, and maybe we'll do better.
So with regards to wanting more support, but not necessarily having the time to put into it, there's actually something really fascinating that happens here. Now, so most people have, let's say, they have 7 or 8 hours to practice in a day. And so they sit down and they practice for all 7 or 8 hours. Now, what happens in the brain, the body, is that at some point, it's no longer learning. It's no longer consuming information. So although you're played for 7 or 8 hours, you might only be getting 3 or 4 hours worth of practice in. Now, this is where the interesting thing kind of comes in, is when we start focusing on things like nutrition, or we start focusing on physical maintenance and working our body to increase stamina, or working on the psychological and mental skills such as emotion regulation, focus, control, team dynamics, and communication. When we start focusing on all of these things, our brain starts operating at a higher level. We've optimized our brain's learning environment. And once you've optimized your brain in this way, what we can see is that it learns faster and it learns for longer periods of time. So instead of having to put 7 or 8 hours into gaming and you're really only getting 3 or 4 hours of development, what you can do is you can pull that back and you can do maybe 4 or 5 hours worth of gaming, and you're getting the entirety of that experience and you're learning that whole time. So while everybody else is putting 7 or 8 hours into practicing, into scrimming, into competitions, you're putting in 50 or only 40% of the time that they're putting in, but you're getting the same amount of learning. And so by focusing on these things, by taking care of your body, by taking care of your mind, by taking care of your sleep and nutrition in your life, what ends up happening is you become a more efficient learner, a better performer, and you excel faster than everybody else. So it becomes a time saver by focusing on these types of supports. So here's one of the hardest questions to answer. How do you measure success and how do you define it?
I think success is a quite a personal thing. So for me personally, I think it's really to outdo myself. I think it's to set set a main goal and milestones on the way, and achieving those milestones to get to where I set out to be, I think that is success for me.
Okay, perfect. So you've already nailed it. Success isn't about how do you compare to somebody else. Success is about constant growth. And so when we think about constant growth and what is success, it really boils down to, am I improving from where I used to be, and am I taking a step towards where I want to be? It's not about how do I compare to this pro. It's not about how much money am I making or how big is my stream. None of these things are true measures of success.
For me, myself personally, esports has been a big thing in my life. I've been actively pursuing it for about 10 years now. And to me right now, it is about giving back to the next generation, making it a viable thing in Singapore. So I'm actively pursuing and doing my best to see how the local system, how can there be more support for our next generation of gamers to actually make it into a full-time thing. Because even for a lot of us here, being even at the top of our game in Singapore, it is still not a sustainable thing to do in Singapore. So down the line, down the road, we hope that there will be more support and what we ourselves can be doing to help in this system as well. Yeah, so to me, the relating back to the success is I want to be part of the process of making this a viable thing in Singapore for in the next few years to come, because that's only how we can develop the next generation of professionals, to represent our country and everything forward.
We actually want to pass on our experience to the next generation, and having that as a personal success metric is truly profound, because it's so rewarding to be able to share your experience with somebody who is just beginning their journey. Alright, so that's a wrap for the FITGMR Razer Masterclass, and what I want everybody to really take away from this is that performance, development, and growth does not stop at the game. We know that competitive esports is a very cognitively demanding industry. And because of that, our ability to learn and our ability to perform is directly limited by how healthy our brain and our body is. And so you can be practicing the game day in and day out. You can be putting 12 hours in the clock every single day and grinding it out. And you can have the micro, the macro, the matchups, the skill. You can have everything that you need to have in the game by simply grinding it out. But then the day comes when there's an important competition and your skill level is way up here, but because you're fatigued, because you're tired, because your team is having a blow up and is angry at each other, or you have a lack of focus, or there's an injury you're dealing with, or you lose stamina and concentration, because any of those things had happened, despite your skill being up here, you might only be able to perform at this level because your brain and your body aren't functioning at its best. And it's important to remember, legends aren't born, they're created. They're created through effort, they're created through deliberate training, they're created by making sure that they take care of their brains and their bodies so they're functioning at their absolute best. Becoming a champion isn't something you're born as, it's the result of showing up, it's the result of putting in the effort and taking care of yourself so that you are able to reach that peak potential. Champions start from within, so if you want to begin your journey, make sure you check out the Champions Start From Within on the Razer website so that you can find your inner champion. And lastly, I just want to give a huge shout out and thank you to EVOS for joining us on the Razer FITGMR Masterclass. Thank you for sitting with us, thank you for learning. See you guys next time.
Thank
Thank you, FITGMR!